The first story is from a couple of years ago. I was giving a khutbah in a city that I don't want to name. And at the end of the khutbah, a father came up to me and said, "I'd really like you to have lunch at our house. I want you to talk to my daughter." And I said, "Okay, I guess I have time." So he was right next door to the masjid too, so he took me to his house. And his daughter, he said, if you're okay with it, my daughter has some questions about Islam, etc., etc. If you don't mind, you can help her answer some of them. So his daughter comes out. By the way, this is a Muslim family, born and raised Muslims. Parents are born and raised Muslims. Children are raised Muslims. And she comes out and she has piercings in strange places on her face, like on the side of her eye and like a couple on her forehead, like weird places. You look at that and you go, ouch. But anyway, so she sits down. I'm kind of weirded out at this point, but okay, you know what? Let's have her ask her questions. And she had about 30 of those. She had about 30 questions. And I didn't answer any of them. I just said, "So what else?" I kept saying, "What else?" And she kept adding stuff. And she had questions like, "Well, I have some friends at high school and they're gay and they're not bad people. They haven't killed anyone. So why do we hate them so much? And why did God make a hell? Why do you have to do that? What's the point? If he wanted to make a hell, then why did he create us to begin with? If he knows we're going to go there, then why did he do that to us?" And she said, "Well, what's so bad about having a boyfriend? It's not like, murder. I'm not that bad. What's the big deal? Why did we make such a big deal out of everything?" And I said, at this point, internally, I've already had 3 heart attacks, but externally, I'm saying to her, "What else?" And she just keeps going and going and going. And mind you, her father is sitting there. So if I'm having seizures, I felt really sad for him. I really did. And she just kept going and going. And at the end of her 30 questions, I said, "Okay, I'm willing to spend time with you and discuss these issues with you, but I'd rather you just answer one of my questions first. If you could do that, then we can probably have a good, well-directed conversation." There was a copy of Quran sitting on the dining table. So I picked it up. I said, "Do you really actually believe this is from God? Sent by an angel, through an angel, to a man, sallallahu alaihi wasallam? And whatever this has is perfect instruction for you and for me to live our lives in the best possible way. And if we live our lives this way, we'll find happiness here and forever. And if we don't, we'll find misery here and forever. Do you actually believe that?" She goes, "No, I'm not so sure." So she told me flat out, "I'm not so sure." I said, "Well, then all of those other questions don't matter. None of that stuff matters." That's what I would call a crisis of faith. And she's not the only one. I've seen this story play itself out. And a lot of people have those kinds of questions. They don't ask them. They don't ask them. A lot of people, I'm not just picking on girls here. Muslim guys, they'll be raised in a religious family and they know certain things are haram, and they'll, in their head they'll say, "Why is it haram? Why can't I do that?" And they'll just say, "Allah said so." You say that for everything, We need to build a confidence into our youth as part of our education of them. If we don't do that, we will be paying the price for that in the next 10 years. I say that very fearfully as I say this to you. Leaders of Muslim community, we're not doing an adequate enough job thinking about how to instill the confidence of faith, how to fight the crisis of faith among our Muslim youth. Muslim youth, when they have philosophical problems, we tell them, "Go make wudu and make 2 rak'ah over there. And if that doesn't work, okay, come back and I'll give you a special dua, recite that and your problem will go away." Listen, if they have a philosophical problem and if they have doubts already, the spiritual solution is there, but you cannot ignore the intellectual solution. You can't. Our deen is intellectual. Our deen is not blind faith. Our deen is powerful. We have to believe that, and we have to instill that belief into our kids. We're flying to the IGNA convention. I usually take my whole family, all 28 of them. I have 6 children. I lose count sometimes. But anyway, so we're flying together. My kids are little, so they're short, so they can't really see over the seat in the plane. So they're little. They're sitting there, and my wife and I were taller, so we can see the TV screen when it drops. Right? So there's a movie playing. We don't want to see it, but it's in your face right here. And of course, alhamdulillah, we don't have headphones, so it's a silent film at that point. And it was the Justin Bieber documentary. Yeah. Imagine that. Well, thankfully it was a silent film, right? So, this documentary that is playing, I'm trying to avoid looking at it, but I can't help myself. I can't help myself because they're showing this kid come and start singing his songs, and girls in the audience are crying. Like, you could tell they're just like, we love you so much, I'll die for you. And mothers bringing their daughters to concerts. And then somebody's handed a voucher that says you get to meet him backstage. You should see the family, how they're jumping up and down in joy. And in the course of that video, I was like, oh man, these people have nothing to look up to. This is all they have to look up to. They're so happy at this. They're so happy at this. How sad a life can it be? And next clip, there's a Muslim girl. She's wearing a hijab. She's handed a voucher. You're going to get to meet Justin Bieber. And she's going around a tree, hugging it and going crazy. And she's not the only Muslim girl that would do that. She's not. Don't say, astaghfirullah, what kind of Muslim? That's the average Muslim girl. That's normal. Okay? So now we have a crisis, not just of faith, but some of the fruits of faith. What are some of the fruits of faith? The faith itself is you're convinced Islam is true, right? But beyond that, a step above that is you take pride in it. And a consequence of that is everything that is not Islam no longer appeals to you. Everything that contradicts Islam, not only are you not attracted to it, you feel sad for people who are. You look at it as something beneath you. Let me tell you what a great thing for Muslims would be. A point of pride for Muslims would be. Instead of a young Muslim man thinking, I can't do this, I can't do that, I can't do the other, everything is haram, look at my friends, they get to do this and that and the other. Instead of a Muslim girl who's going to high school and she's wearing hijab and everybody makes comments at her and pokes fun at her and says weird things to her. Or girls tell her, you look so ugly because of that thing on your head, etc., etc. And she's thinking in her head, I wish I could be like those other girls. They get to do whatever they want. I can't do anything. I can't have any fun in life. The only thing that's keeping me from being happy is Islam. Our youth are not confident, not proud, not in love with Islam. They're not confident in the Quran. They're not confident that the Messenger of Allah sallallahu alaihi wasallam is the absolute best role model. No one deserves to be loved more. No one deserves to be followed more. No one. How do you address the crisis of faith? It's easy to talk about a problem. It's hard to talk about solutions. We have to create a culture around strong friendship. Identity itself, it revolves around who you hang out with, who you spend most of your time with, who you identify with. When you spend most of your time on a computer, you start taking on some of the qualities of the stuff you're reading and the stuff you're watching. It starts invading your thoughts. The kinds of people you spend time with, if they're studying Islam all the time, you'll want to study Islam too. If they're playing basketball all the time, you'll develop a habit for playing basketball also. If they're going to watch movies all the time, you're going to want to go to the movies too. Your environment has an effect on you. The people you surround yourself with has an effect on you. Starting with the Muslim family and then evolving to the Muslim community needs to actually have a campaign to ensure our young children are in the company of good role model older kids. Like a big brother, big sister type thing. So when our girls are 12, 13, 14, when they're coming up in their ages, some of the more leading Muslim girls in our community that are 17, 18, 19, they're going to college, they're holding on to their religion, they're learning their deen. These girls are role models, they don't even know it. And our younger girls need to be spending time with these older girls. It's really important. That they have someone to look up to that is strong in their deen. And they aspire to want to be like them. That's really important. The same goes for the guys. At a younger age, what we do is we keep the little kids by themselves, we keep the big kids by themselves, and it doesn't work out. There needs to be a kind of mentorship happening at the community level. So that our younger boys are spending time with some of the older boys, especially the ones that are mature in their religion. And we have, mashallah, even though we don't have a lot of those, we have enough of those. We have enough young people that are mature in their religion. They really want to learn more about it. And they're good role models. They have youth, they have energy, they have health, they have good looks. They could go on any number of ways in their life, and they chose to submit themselves to Islam. that in and of itself is huge. That already makes them a role model. Whether they're ever grabbing a mic and speaking publicly, it doesn't matter. They're still role models. And we need to put them in that position. It does two things. One, it gives young people someone to look up to. And two, it gives older kids a sense of responsibility. It makes them realize that others have eyes on them, that they have to answer to a higher standard because they set the tone for others. It gives them a sense of responsibility too. And that kind of mentorship thing needs to start happening when families start doing that and utilizing the community as a place where that kind of mentorship can happen.
Young people nowadays, especially young people nowadays, say, I don't know what I should do. Ustad, tell me what I should do. What should I major in? What kind of job should I do? And they don't do anything. And they get 30 bits of advice from someone. Then they go to someone else and get another 40 bits of advice. Then they go to someone else and get another 50 bits of advice. And they have all this advice from all these people, and they say, well, I asked 100 people and I got 100 different kinds of advice. Yes, that's because you asked 100 people and you got 100 different kinds of advice, because human beings are individuals. They're going to give you individual advice. Until you put yourself to work, you're not going to discover who you are. You're not going to know your strengths, and you're not going to know your weaknesses. Stop being afraid of work. Stop being afraid of jumping in, trying something, failing. Failure is good for you. It exposes the holes in the wall. It exposes what you need to work on. It also exposes the few things that you are good at, and maybe you should refine them even more. But that does not happen until you grind it out. Until you throw yourself in the middle, in the mix. I'd like you to think of the fact that, our ruh is from alam al-amr. But this life that Allah gave us here, in which we can put ourselves to work and discover ourselves, is not an unlimited life, is it? So, between coming of age and sleep, and then old age where you pretty much become senile, we don't have a lot of years to figure ourselves out, to put ourselves to work. So don't be afraid to try things. Allah has given us this incredible adventure in the world. Don't be scared to try stuff. The fact that you've taken the adventure to try to learn Arabic is cool, but this is just the beginning. Try things in business. Try things in your education. Try things in, try a different kind of job. Try things. And if you live your life just afraid, I'm not sure if it's going to work or not. I'm not sure if I'm going to succeed at that or not. Those are the kinds of people that will only sit on the sidelines and not do anything in life. You have to stop being afraid of failure. You have to work on your shakila. You have to let go of that inhibition. And once you let go of it, amazing things will happen in your life. When you stop being depressed about failures. My favorite student, I've taught, Dream's been around for now 5, you guys are year number 5, it's crazy. You guys are year number 5. One of my favorite students of all time, I'm not going to name him. You know what his problem was? I say Allah created him not to learn Arabic. This guy, day in, day out, he's sitting in class, breaks, everybody else is playing ping pong or slapping each other, he's studying. People are taking lunch breaks, he's studying. He's buried in the notes. He's buried in review. He's always asking questions, studying. He's got piles and piles of notebooks that are filled up with his notes, and get another one, and another one, and another one. His hand's starting to hurt. No, I'm not going to use a laptop because that's for lazy people. I'm going to study. And he's one of my close friends. He and I used to hang out a lot before. I was like, hey, why don't you come learn some Arabic? He goes, yeah, I'll do it. And he jumps in. And then now during the year, I call him, hey, you want to go hang out, get some pizza or something? No, bro, I got to study. I'm his teacher during the day. And at night I'm telling him, hey, you want to go hang out? No, bro, I got to study. Thanks a lot. Click. And he, on so many exams, failed miserably. But I don't feel bad for him at all. That is effort worth doing. And there are people who did not apply themselves and got easy hundreds. And first of all, I don't even think it was worth their time, the education they received. And I don't respect what they did. I respect what he did. I'm going to try something and I'm going to give it my best. I'm not going to run at the first sign of failure. I'm not just going to walk away and just do something else. Where there's this idea that even the line of work you're going to do, the career, the pursuits you're going to make, the efforts you're going to make, so long as you find them enjoyable, you should do it. The moment you have a boring day or two, You should be like, I need to do something else. I'm going to move on to something else. Really? Really? This is not Jannah. You have good days and bad days. This life is like that. When favors are being showered, everything's happy. I'm perfect. This is the way I need to be. And the moment things don't go your way, kana ya'usa. Become super depressed. I don't know if this is the thing for me. I don't know if I should even be doing this. It happens to students. They fail one test. Or no, not fail. Sorry, got a 95. Astaghfirullah al-azim. How will you show your face to your parents? Who will marry you now that you have a 95? You know, I don't know if I should drop out now because it's not even worth it anymore. Are you serious? Get a little, grow a spine, grow a thick skin. Apply yourself in whatever you do, And this is not just about your studies at the program, at Dream. This is beyond that. In life, have that attitude. Whatever you jump into, really dive in. Dive all in. Yes, seek counsel, but don't over-seek counsel. Don't keep getting advice and not doing anything. You have a few people in your life you can trust. And sometimes some people, they get into this habit where they like to get advice from people. They know they're going to get two different answers. Because they live off of the confusion. They feed off of it. They use that as a scapegoat to not do anything. Well, he said this, but you said this. And they wait for you to say something and say, but he said this. You could have told me that before I told you anything, but you know what? Seek advice, but seek advice with a purpose. And seek advice with some trust. You shouldn't just ask random people. By the way, if you're seeking contradictory advice from people, you know what that says? That says, first of all, you have no confidence, number one. And number two, it says you don't trust people. You don't trust them. Why are you asking their advice if you want an alternative opinion? You don't have to take everybody's opinion. You don't have to take my opinion, or Sheikh Omar Sulaiman's opinion, or Sheikh Abdul Nasir's opinion, or anybody's opinion for that matter. You consider their opinion and you make your own judgment. But once you make your own judgment, فَإِذَا عَزَمْتَ, when you make a decision, فَتَوَكَّلْ عَلَى اللَّهِ, trust Allah and move on with life. Trust Allah. This is how you get to discover yourself. And that's actually a very important lesson in life that Muslims, all of you, have to internalize, and inshallah ta'ala, great things will come for you in life and for the benefit of others in your life if you internalize this.
Support our mission to provide free education worldwide. With just $10 a month, you can help us thrive and remain accessible to all forever.